Hi, and welcome to class number 2, the future of library collections and user need assessment. I want to start off the class by taking care of a couple of housekeeping things. Thank you all for getting your assignment in. And there was a couple of things. I'm adding an administrative piece to the discussion board because I know several of you had problems trying to get into some of the lecture for last week. So I created that, and so you'll all be able to log in there and see if other people are having problems as well. And then I've been asked to explain the readings. Basically, on the syllabus, listed as suggested readings were things that were put up before the class went live because I'd gotten several emails about what people could read in advance of the class. So that's really what I put those there for. So basically all the suggested readings you will be reading throughout the course. So, and with that, let's carry on. Now, before I really start talking about the user-centric library, what I'd like to do is introduce myself. I know I asked you all to do it, and I didn't. And realizing as I was putting the course together that it'd probably be a good time to do that. My name's Marshall Shore. And I've recently started doing some archival work. What I'm doing right now is I'm working on a gay lesbian documentary of Arizona, post-war to Stonewall, so basically 40s, 50s, and 60s. So what I'm doing with that is I'm actually interacting with libraries in a whole new way, so dealing with historical societies, the heading down to the Polly Rosenbaum building. So that's really an interesting piece of just learning that whole side of libraries that I haven't really dealt with in such a hands-on way. My library experience, I've been a librarian for over 16 years in a variety of settings. Most of those have been in public, but I've also been in special libraries. And how do I personally use, or what do I do to personally gather information? I'm addicted to podcast. My iPod is probably about 85%, if not more, podcast. I go to the gym. I don't listen to music. I listen to podcasts. A lot of science shows, things that I normally wouldn't listen to kind of keep my mind off the pain. So, and with that, let's start talking about user-centric libraries. I was really excited when reading the discussion board, and several of you said that you really felt strongly about this. And I firmly believe that library services and collections should be developed with knowledge and input from the community. When I was getting my MLS at Indiana University, I concentrated on basically programs and services for people with disabilities. And one of the major tenets of that is that you always involve the community. You're always asking the community what they need. Not that the staff may not know, but what it does is it really helps build that relationship so that when you ask someone what they want and then they later see that appear, it makes them feel more like it's their library. So information needs assessment. Community analysis, which is a broad study of the service community, is really part of the planning process, and it IDs the purpose and typically refers to small groups or target groups, which are typically what public libraries use. Now, the key assumption here is that everyone is a user and potential user. Now, user studies, which tend to be more academic, really talk about the how, the why, the when, and the where. And market analysis, which really gauges interest or reaction to a particular service or product, is not something that's necessarily used that heavily in public libraries or in libraries in general, but they're all three very valid ways to get information about who your customer is. Now, basically, here we're talking about those places where you gather the information, whether it's an informal or a formal. And so basically what we're saying with informal is that it's really your friends, your colleagues, kind of that invisible college that I know I really prescribe to a lot because it's so easy to tap into and ask questions of. Formal is a little bit more difficult. Um, it's more the peripheral people. So professional associations, clubs, PTA groups, people that you normally don't hang out with a lot. And with this, it was interesting. Had a friend who went off to Harvard for one of these like week-long intensive business courses. And she said the most interesting thing she felt she came back with was that an idea that all your ideas don't necessarily come from your nucleus of friends that you hang out with a lot because you have a lot of commonalities with them and you're not going to really challenge. But when you start having people from outside of that circle coming in, that's where you start getting more and more ideas coming in. And really using that invisible college to try and meet those hundreds of needs for that informal community, that informal information that you have, whether it's what's for lunch down at the diner, what's the weather like. So basically these informal methods of meeting your needs are really done with your nucleus of people and the least amount of work. Now, information user is the who. Information need is the what and the how. Information seeking behavior. Oh, wait a minute. Information need, what, and why. And information seeking behavior is really the why or the how. Information retrieval, success, and failure is the why. And demographics are those basically things that allow you to do segmentation of an audience. So we can talk about level of education, income, cultural background, group membership, age, all those different strata to help delineate the target audiences. Now, in terms of practicality, basically doing a needs assessment is really good because the budget implications, and other times when actually even now, basically they're looking at the data and what is community support. So that if something is highly used and the community really wants it, they will come out and support it as they have recently. I had one of my mentors basically was saying that whatever he did, he would talk to the community about always needing more money for DVDs. So that was kind of his piece of how he would energize his base would be through talking about that. And that would really get his customers often going and writing letters. And really that data showing that it's heavily used can also help save or get extra funding for a program. Demographics, it's not just every 10 years when the census comes out, it's like, boom, we now know this. Really, they're constantly changing, even minutia. I mean, I've been in libraries where you could almost see the community changing